EFL TV, proudly brought to you by Ferntree Gully Motor Group.
Hello and welcome to the EFL Agenda. I'm Braden Ingram. It was another great round of EFL football, and this afternoon, as usual, I'm joined by Bed Ray. How you going, mate?
Good afternoon, Braden. I'm going well, mate, and we've had two great rounds of football and looking forward to another round after the break of Easter.
Yeah, we probably need a bit of a break after the first round, to be honest with you. It's been a little hectic, a couple of surprising results and a couple of interesting topics to chat to you about this afternoon on the EFL Agenda. We're going to talk about East Ringwood, where they're at, Norwood, Bayswater, the Waveland Blues, and a couple of other down in the lower divisions as well. But of course, we're going to start off in Division 1. Norwood, they probably made a statement on the weekend, Ray. You were at that game, and they played pretty well.
Yeah, look, to me, they're the real deal. To me, they're the only side that's going to challenge Baldwin this year, from what I've seen so far. But look, they just tore Vermont apart, particularly in that last quarter. Gee, they were just too good for Vermont. I liked the way that they went about it, and Williams down forwards kicked a lot of goals, 12 goals in 2 games, and Matthew Bate, the ex-Melbourne player, look, as that game went on, he got better, and he's going to be a great player for Norwood.
Do you feel that performance is more a statement about how well Norwood are shaping up, or how Vermont are struggling at the moment?
I think it's a combination of both. Look, they've certainly sent a statement out there to the rest of the competition, to win like that. It's been a long time since Vermont had a defeat of nearly 10 goals, and the way they went about it on Saturday, Norwood, it was methodical. They just built up momentum, and as I said, as each quarter went on, they got better. Vermont, on the other hand, I think that there's a lot of soul-searching got to go on down at Vermont. To me, their intensity wasn't and their endeavour wasn't anywhere near what we're used to expected from Vermont. And look, they've got the best ruckman in the competition, Simon Taylor, but they've got to give him some support down there. He's trying to do it on his own.
And, I mean, do you think in the end, we talk about they're going to do some soul searching, they're going to struggle a little bit, but at the end of the day, they're one of those top 3 or 4 tier clubs. Surely they're not going to drop down too far, or do you think it's more of an in-depth sort of issue that needs quite a lot of addressing?
Look, we all know that Baldwin are slow starters. Every year they start off slow. So look, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves too far. But from the performance that I saw last Saturday, they certainly need to lift their work effort. That was the main thing that I thought. Their skills, on another thing, their skills weren't very good, so that need to improve. And their key forwards, particularly Van Noonan down there, and Froud's another one, they got to stand up a little bit more and present themselves.
Absolutely, and we move to probably another club that surprised us, I think, to some extent in East Ringwood. They picked up a number of players over the off-season, especially from Scoresby, 6 players, David Marcius, Dean Cleven in the ruck as well, so plenty of good players, but at the end of the day, big-name recruits hasn't really produced results. 0-2 games against Norwood and Roval.
Well, they're one of the sides that I touted to make to fill in 4 spots, so look, to me it's a disappointment that they're 0-2. But look, they've got to get their game together. They've got to get their act together and start playing some good football, because we all know how valuable winning the first 3 or 4 games of the season is.
East Ringwood Vermont, we see it as an 8-point game after Easter. For me, I actually think East Ringwood probably go in there for me anyway. I think as maybe a little bit more of a favourite. Maybe that's a bit of a rough, maybe that's a bit of a Will Taylor roughie there. But I think they might just be able to have a little bit of an edge. As you said, Vermont are struggling. Well,
as I said, look, I would go with Vermont on that one, mainly because of their past reputation, and they are a side that can bounce back. But as I said, they've got a lot of work to do. East Ringwood, well, similarly, they've got work to do as well. So look, that's going to be a great game.
A couple of sides in Division 2 that probably do have a bit of work to do as well, Ray. Bayswater and Waverley, they're both struggling. We'll start with Bayswater.
What's your slant on Bayswater?
Well, look, I mean, last year I had a fair go at them, and I copped a fair bit of flack from them, and I went pretty hard. And I think just this year, it's not the fact that I think last year they probably let themselves down. They had opportunities despite playing younger players. In last quarters, they really struggled. I think this year they just don't have the personnel. It's as simple as that. I mean, they've lost a number of players: Russell Combe, Daniel McLaughlin, Dan Murphy. They're all gone, and you can throw in a couple of other lower side players as well. They're important, and I just feel as well. I mean, you look at their couple of games they've got coming up. You got Doncaster, then the bye, North Ringwood, followed by East Burwood, and then the Waverley Blues. You look at all those games up until round 7. Potentially after the bye, they're 0-6 from round 7, and I just think we saw them in that radio game in round one. They really struggled to move the football. They don't have a forward target. Wayne McInerney is their main target, and he was injured in that game. And he's a small forward at the end of the day, isn't he, Ray?
He's only a small forward, and you're right, and this was their problem last year without having a key forward. Someone there, as you said, Braden, a target to hit, and as you said, they've lost the key defenders, two key defenders down there, Russell Combe, as you said, and Daniel McLaughlin. They were their two key defenders last year. So their defence as well has deficiencies this year. It's going to be a long season for Bayswater.
I mean, you don't want to be harsh, but it's symbol of them missing the personnel, and again, they're playing youth again this season, which I think is going to good in the long run, but they need to get other players in there. And I think the important thing for them is Don Vale aren't in the league, because if they were there, there was a good chance that I think those two teams would be looking at relegation and possibly Bayswater. So they get lucky there. Another team that's zipping too, the Waverley Blues, they're probably shaping up a little bit better despite not getting a win so far, Ray.
Yeah, our new coach and a big influx of players to Waverley Blues this year. And in round one, they only got pipped by 3 points over Croydon, who a lot of people have touted as a premiership side. And last week also, they were pretty good as well. So look, Waverley Blues to me, the feedback I got from Brett Moyle, North Ringwood, who played them, he said that they're a good side and they're going to worry a lot of teams in Division 2.
Only lost to Croydon in round one by 3 points. Reasonably competitive against a good side in North Ringwood. And the next game's against Mooroolbark on Anzac Day twilight game. I think we both like the Waverley Blues in that game, Ray. They tested them last year.
Well, in that Anzac twilight game last year, they led all day, Waverley Blues, and I think it was only the last 10 minutes of the game that Mooroolbark got over the line there. And look, I'm tempted to pick Waverley Blues to win that Anzac Day game at this stage.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracker. I don't think Mooroolbark are going as well as what some may think. I think we'll leave that for if you want to address it now.
Well, we saw them in round one and against Doncaster East, and that day Doncaster East, they were on fire, particularly Carl Peterson. Last week they bounced back a lot better and they won quite well. But as I said, look, they obviously have trouble with Waverley Blues. They proved that last Anzac Day. And as I said, I think I'm going to tip Waverley Blues to knock Mooroolbark off.
Division 3, moving on to that one, and there's some tight games on the weekend. Mitcham got over the top of Basin. I saw that game. Stevie Pym was strong in the last. Could I tell you what? He just gets them up and about, Ray.
It's a big game for both those clubs, and I think the build up to that game now is enormous for both those clubs, and it's always a tough, tight contest. And I think that both clubs would be quite happy that they got the bye this week.
And South Belgrave, quickly want to address them coming up from Division 4. A win last week over Upper Fenchurch. They only led in by 4 points at three-quarter time. Got away in the final term. Comprehensively beaten by more than 10 goals on the weekend against a good Wantirna South side. Is that just a bit of an aberration, you think?
Well, look, they come up against a side that played off for the grand final for the premiership last year. And look, they were okay, South Belgrave. But look, they've got jumped in the first quarter. I think it was 7-1 in the first quarter. Wantirna South jumped out of the blocks, and then they were just playing catch-up football, which is unfamiliar territory for South Belgrave over the last 18 months or so. But no, they're a good side. They've got key forwards down there, and we all know about the three amigos. And look, they'll worry a lot of sides. I think they'll be round about 5th spot, I think.
I think the side we're most pleased to see having a decent start is the White Horse Pioneers. They did beat Glenwave on the weekend, but it's good to see them up and about, Ray.
Well, they're a side that, has fought off relegation over the last 3 seasons, and to see them get off to 2 great wins, they've kicked, I think, 41 goals in the 2 games so far, and look, everything's flying down there for the Pioneers.
Well, speaking of flying, I'll throw in a bit of a corny joke, or maybe swimming for Park Orchards. They're going all right. They beat Sylvan by 3 points on the weekend and probably should have run by more, 7-16 in the end. Probably missed a few opportunities. And a Sylvan team with Bulldogs' great Lindsay Gilby in it. So a good win for them, and it's just good to see them up and about, Ray.
Yeah, they did have Lindsay Gilby in it, but I believe that he didn't go to any of the training sessions, so he was playing there with guys that he didn't know, and that's always very hard anyway. But look, that game was what I expected. I have picked those 2 teams to play off for the grand final this year, and I have no reason to change my mind. So look, a great win by the young side. They didn't win the close games last year, but obviously they've learned how to do that. So very well done to Park Orchard.
The game that probably stands out for me is Wyandotte and the Eastern Lions, Ray. That was an absolute shellacking. I mean, in the end, it was about 134.
Who did you pick?
Point. I think I went for the Eastern Lions in the end. I thought they were going to... I mean, I know Wyandotte are coming down, but I just thought the Eastern Lions... I mean, maybe wouldn't have thought that result even if I had to tip the Warrandyte.
Well, I picked Warrandyte to win that
Yep.
game, and I wasn't really surprised because they've had some big inclusions as well at Warrandyte. And look, when a team gets relegated, they're going to do well when they come down to the lower divisions. And once Warrandyte get back onto their own ground, they're going to be even better. So well done to Warrandyte.
And Forest Hill, lazy 49 scoring shots in their large win over 105 point win over Surrey. More than that, so 125 point win over Surrey. Again, I probably expected Surrey. They came back last year, found a way back, got a few wins, but I didn't expect that margin.
No one expected that margin, and they did have 4 of their top players out, but that's no excuse. They're not making excuses down there, but look, they were just outplayed by a better unit.
Well, Ray, it's been good to have a chat to you this afternoon. Plenty of interesting results. I'm looking forward to the Easter break. Actually, get a bit of time off, and we'll come back, crack into it, set for some pretty good games in round 3A.
Thanks, Brody.